Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. So happy to see you all here. Now, my big question as we start this training today is just to kind of think about how often you feel like you are caught in an impossible battle with movement. It can feel really frustrating, especially if you've had pain for years. And often we are told that motion is lotion, right? That movement is the key to pain relief. But every time you try, it feels like you're kind of walking this tightrope between progress and another flare up. And so maybe you've tried to push through and you tell yourself, I just need to keep moving, my body will adjust. So you kind of force yourself to take that walk, stretch a little bit, power through housework, only to be hit with a flare up that will knock you out for days. Or maybe you've done the opposite, right? Maybe you've learned the hard way that even the smallest movement can lead to a spike in pain. So now you hesitate, you avoid exercise, you cancel plans, you second guess every step, every bend, every reach. And when you um, do move, it's kind of with hesitation, fear, sort of this constant mental calculation of, am I going to regret this later? And the worst part is you don't even know which approach is right anymore, right? You push through, you rest more, nothing seems to work. And that leaves many women I talk to feeling frustrated, exhausted, and kind of like your body is unpredictable. And that can be really hard. So, which is it? Move more, move less? And why does it feel like neither is actually helping? And here's the truth. Movement can be your greatest tool for pain relief and your brain's greatest generator for safety, but only if your brain and your nervous system feel safe. And so today I'm going to show you exactly how to make that shift so that you can start to do movement with confidence, but also without the fear of overdoing it or making things worse. And so welcome. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Anna Redmond. I'm a pain psychologist, a chronic pain strategist for women. I'm the creator of the anti-threat system and the founder of the Breaking Through Pain program. And I created this world, this community specifically for high achieving women, perfectionist driven women with chronic pain who refuse to let it run their lives. But they also don't want to spend their days stuck in the same cycle of trial and error, constantly feeling like they're failing at recovery either. And today's training is really in the spirit of that. It's about movement and why the way that you've been taught to approach it might actually be keeping you stuck in pain unintentionally. So I'm going to help you finally understand how to move in a way that works for you and not against you. Before we dive in, if you already know that you are ready to explore how this kind of approach can help you personally, I invite you to book a call with me. We'll look at what's keeping you stuck. We'll map out a plan to shift your approach so you can start seeing results faster. The links are in the comments if you want to book a call. I also dropped a link in there for my newest guide. And of course, if you're curious, my DMs are always open. Back to the topic though. For so many women with chronic pain, movement can really feel like this constant battle between what you've been told, but what your body's actually experiencing. And we hear this over and over. And I've been in these appointments. I know they say, just keep moving and your pain will get better. Motion is lotion. If you stop, it'll just get worse. You have to push through discomfort or you'll never improve. And you do try. I know you. I've been you. I know that you try, but you push through sometimes, even when your body is screaming at you to stop. You override the warning signs, telling yourself, I just have to keep going. Maybe it works for a little while, but then out of nowhere, a flare up knocks you down, leaving you unable to do anything for days. On the other hand, I've talked to many women who learned the hard way that moving too much triggers their pain, so they pull back, but then they feel weaker, stiffer, more disconnected from their life. They feel like their life is becoming smaller. The activities that once made them feel alive, hiking, yoga, playing with their kids, working out, these start to feel like distant memories. And then that's when the guilt sets in, right? Am I just not trying hard enough? What if I make it worse? How can I be successful in my career if I can't even trust my own body? And at work, you start structuring your day around your pain, right? You schedule meetings at times when your energy's highest. You avoid certain tasks because you know they'll leave you drained. And maybe you're even constantly calculating how much you can push before the crash comes. Maybe at home, excuse me, it's those quiet sacrifices that nobody sees, like skipping family outings, leaving early from social events, saying maybe next time to things that you used to love, watching your kids play while you sit on the sidelines. You long to join them, but you fear the consequences. And I know it can feel like you're trapped between two impossible choices. You can keep moving and risk more pain, or stop and feel like you're giving up. You can follow the advice, but feel like nothing's working. You can try pacing, but you still end up in that same cycle of doing too much or too little. And the worst part is that no one seems to have the real answer to this. And so, doctors tell you to move more, resting doesn't seem to help. Every strategy you try feels like this temporary fix and not a real solution. I want you to know and hear this as I tell my kids, put a heart around this. You're not lazy and you are not failing. You've just been given the wrong playbook. Okay. And the truth is, movement is not about doing more. It's not about doing less. It's about doing it differently. And that's exactly what we're going to break down next. Here's the truth about why everything you've been told about movement and pain is keeping you stuck. If movement's supposed to help, why does it feel like every step forward only leads to another step back? You've been told it's the key to pain relief, but why does it feel like no matter how much you try, you're either pushing yourself into another flare up or crashing altogether or avoiding movement altogether just to avoid the crash? The truth is, the way you've been taught to think about movement is likely outdated, incomplete, and it's missing the one thing that actually matters, which is an understanding of your brain's response to movement. Let me explain. Pain of movement is not a strength problem, it's a trust problem. So imagine that movement is like an old bridge that you have to cross every single day. And when you first started experiencing pain, that bridge was steady. You could walk across it, drive across it, maybe even run across it without a second thought. It wasn't something you had to analyze, it was just something that you did. And then at some point, pain changed things, and suddenly that bridge didn't feel so stable. Maybe the first time you had a flare up after movement, it was like noticing a few cracks in the wood. You became more cautious, slowing down, trying to pace yourself. And then the next time you had a setback after doing what you were told, just keep moving, it felt like the bridge actually shook beneath your feet. You started second guessing every step. And now even the thought of crossing that bridge, moving your body feels risky. Your brain sees it as a potential collapse waiting to happen, so it either slams on the brakes, pain signals fear, stiffness, or it forces you to tiptoe across, overanalyzing every sensation, worrying about doing too much or too little. And at this point, movement is not about strength, it's about trust. Your body could move, but your nervous system doesn't trust it yet. That's the real problem. Why? And here's why just moving more or just resting, these ideas can keep us stuck. Because if you push through and force yourself across the bridge without rebuilding that trust, your brain doubles down on the alarm system. It sends more pain signals, tightening muscles. It makes you even more sensitive next time. And if you avoid movement altogether, you confirm to your brain that the bridge really is unsafe and that the only way to protect yourself is to stay put. Either way, the brain learns that movement means danger. And when your nervous system believes that movement is dangerous, it doesn't matter how strong your muscles are, how strong your core is, how carefully you pace yourself, or how much willpower you have, you're still going to feel stuck. And that is why movement has felt like this impossible battle, because it's not about just moving more. It's about teaching your nervous system that movement is safe again. And the shift you actually need is to rebuild that trust bridge. So instead of following the same old advice, push through, pull back, we need to take a completely different approach. We have to rebuild the trust bridge between your brain and your body. And that means shifting from forcing movement and hoping your body adjusts to creating movement experiences that gently reassure your nervous system that it's safe. It means shifting from avoiding movement because you're afraid of making things worse to learning how to move in ways that signal safety, not stress. We want to shift from feeling like every setback means you're broken to understanding that setbacks are part of the process and do not mean you're failing. Here's what this looks like in real life. Right now, you might be struggling to get through a workday without feeling stiff and exhausted. You might be wondering why even small movements make everything worse. You might be trying to keep up with your kids or your family, but you're constantly weighing every activity against whether or not you'll pay for it later. You're feeling guilty for not moving more, but also terrified that moving more will make things worse. This stops being about movement and it starts being about how movement fits into your life, your values, and the needs of your nervous system. And so that's exactly what I'm going to walk you through next. The three key strategies to retrain your nervous system and make movement your greatest tool for relief without flare ups, fear, and frustration. Because this is not about just moving, right? It's about moving in a way that finally feels good again. here's how we, rebuild trust in movement and break the cycle of pain, right? So if movement isn't just about strength, but it's about trust, then the solution isn't to push harder or avoid it completely. The missing piece is safety. Your nervous system is like an overprotective security system. It's been triggered too many times, so now even safe movements set off the alarm, and that's why movement feels like a gamble. One day a short walk feels fine, and the next day that same walk leaves you wrecked. So, how do you rebuild trust in movement? It's not about forcing yourself to move more, it's about teaching your nervous system that movement is safe again. That's where my safety generation process comes in. So, these are three key strategies designed to help you move in a way that doesn't just get you through the day, but actually reconditions your brain and body to experience movement differently. My safety generation process involves understanding where you are at with your body, moving at a pace that works for your nervous system, and then building fun and confidence. So, we're going to break these three things down. Strategy number one, understanding where you are at with your body without the fear of doing too much. Here's why this matters. Pain makes movement feel unpredictable, fuels fear, fuels hesitation. If you don't know what your body can handle, every step can kind of feel like a risk. But when you understand your current capacity without judgment, you can move with confidence instead of anxiety. Here's what this looks like. Instead of blindly following generic pacing advice, we create a personalized baseline based on your nervous system's actual sensitivity. This means no more random trial and error, no more guessing how much is too much, and no more unnecessary setbacks. How much activity can you do right now without flaring up your pain? We have to think about this. Here's what the science says. Research on graded exposure and chronic pain management supports all of this. Studies show that slow, intentional increases in movement can help desensitize the nervous system over time, making pain responses less reactive. The brain starts recognizing movement as safe rather than dangerous, and this reduces the protective pain response. And that means you feel less pain. And just to kind of give you an example, one of my clients was an athlete before she had chronic pain, and she used to approach movement like kind of like a training plan. She would push herself through pain, assuming that more effort meant more progress. But this only made things worse. And so when we shifted her focus to building trust before building endurance, her body actually started responding. And for the first time in years, she could move without fearing the consequences. So instead of worrying about how much movement is too much, we create a system that meets your nervous system where it's at. So movement feels safe, predictable, and empowering again. The second strategy is moving at a pace that works for your nervous system, not just your muscles. Here's why this matters. That boom bust cycle we all have felt before, doing too much on good days and crashing for days after, is one of the biggest reasons movement can feel unsustainable. But it's not just about doing less, it's about moving in a way that builds resilience instead of reinforcing fear. So here's what this looks like. Instead of pushing through or resting completely, we use graded exposure to movement, tiny intentional movements that signal to your brain that movement equals safety. And here's what the science says. Studies in pain neuroscience tell us that movement related pain is often driven by an overprotective nervous system rather than actual tissue damage. Research in neuroplasticity and pain reprocessing therapy tell us that small, consistent exposure to safe movement is really something we need to be doing. And just to give you an example, another client of mine used to start every week with a new plan, walks, stretches, yoga, whatever. But no matter what she tried, she would always inevitably crash. And when she switched to a structured approach that built up tiny wins instead of pushing toward arbitrary goals, something changed. The pain flares became less severe. She could move with confidence instead of fear. And I want the takeaway here to be that movement should match what your nervous system can handle right now, not just what your body could handle before pain. And that is something we can build from. We cannot build from flare ups. This is how we break the cycle of pain, fear, and hesitation. Now, the third strategy is about building activity, fun, and confidence with a personalized strategy. So here's why this matters. Pain recovery isn't just about doing the right exercises. It's about making movement a part of your life in a way that feels natural, enjoyable, and aligned with your values. When movement feels like another chore or a risk, it's impossible to stay consistent. And research tells us that consistent movement is the key to pain relief, not picking the right exercise. And so here's what this looks like. Instead of focusing on what you should do, we focus on what works for you. This means choosing movements that you enjoy and creating strategies to build those that fit into your actual life, making movement feel more like a choice and not a punishment or something you just have to do. And here's what the science says. Studies on self-efficacy and chronic pain confirm that when people feel in control of their movement choices, they experience less pain and greater function. Engaging in enjoyable movement increases dopamine and serotonin, which not only improves mood, but also decreases pain sensitivity, and it rewires the brain's pathways. This helps reduce pain sensitivity over time. One example of this is another one of my clients always felt overwhelmed by these structured exercise plans that she would get from PT, and she'd try to stick to a routine, but she always felt discouraged when pain got in the way. And when we designed a movement plan that prioritized fun and flexibility, she didn't just tolerate movement, she actually started looking forward to it. And her confidence grew and her pain responses decreased naturally. The takeaway here is that movement shouldn't feel like a battle. It should feel like something you want to do. And when we build a strategy that works for your body and your life, movement can start to become something that adds to your recovery instead of constantly taking away from it. And this is the shift that really changes everything for my clients. And I don't know if you can feel that difference here in the way that we're talking about it. It isn't about isn't about you forcing yourself to move because someone told you motion is lotion. It's not about pushing harder, hoping one day it'll magically stop hurting. It's about retraining your brain and your body to trust movement again. When movement stops being something you have to fear, when it actually feels safe, you unlock an entirely new relationship with your body. Movement becomes a tool, not a test. It becomes a way to support yourself, not something that adds stress to your life. And the best part is that this shift doesn't take years. You don't have to spend months tiptoeing around your pain, hoping for the best. With the right approach, you can start feeling the difference in just a few weeks. And I've seen this happen, and that's exactly what my safety generation process is designed to do. It's about moving with intention and not obligation. It's about recognizing where your body is at without the pressure we put on it, without fear, without setting yourself up for another flare up. We focus on understanding your true baseline so you stop overdoing it one day and crashing the next. We move in a way that reprograms your nervous system to stop overreacting to every movement. And here's how this fits into the bigger picture. What we've covered today: rebuilding trust in movement, creating safety for your nervous system, shifting from fear to confidence. This is just one piece of the puzzle. This is the foundation of the safety generation process, but it's also part of my anti-threat system inside my Breaking Through Pain program, which is designed to help high achievers like you go from being controlled by pain to confidently leading your life again. And here's why this matters. Traditional pain treatments fail so many women because they only focus on symptoms, not the root cause of why pain keeps going. You've been given stretches, but no one helped you feel safe moving again. You've been told to reduce stress, but no one explained how stress actually fuels pain. And you've been given treatment plans, but no one showed you how to actually apply them to your real life. Maybe you've even read books and listened to podcasts. And again, how do I apply this to my life the way it's structured? And that's why the anti-threat system works. It rewires your brain-body connection so you can break free from that cycle of fear, flare-ups, and frustration. And inside my Breaking Through Pain program, we focus on pain literacy and nervous system recalibration. We help you understand why pain lingers so you can reduce sensitivity and shift out of threat mode. We focus on value-centric movement and energy management. So we teach you how to move in a way that aligns with your lifestyle, your goals, and your nervous system's needs, so you can stay active without the boom-bust cycle. And finally, I teach you sustainable pain interrupting rituals. So we're integrating daily habits and mindset shifts that interrupt the pain cycle at its root. So you're not just managing symptoms, you're actually creating change. And the best part is you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. So inside the Breaking Through Pain program, I walk my clients through each step. I personalize the process to their unique pain patterns, their lifestyle, and their goals. Because it's not just about feeling a little bit better. We're talking about getting your actual life back. So if you, excuse me, getting all these spam calls lately. So if you are ready to stop guessing and start implementing a proven approach for lasting relief, I invite you to book a pain recovery strategy call with me. That link is in the comments, or you can drop book in the comments and I'll send you the link, or send me a DM. I would just love to chat and help you take the next step toward pain relief, whatever that looks like for you. Because pain does not get to decide what's possible for you. You get to decide, and I'd be honored to help you through that. So I do not see any comments from people watching today. Of course, if you do have comments when you're watching a replay, you can type those in and I will always see them. And otherwise, like I said, my DMs are always open. I'm genuinely here to support you. I want you to know what's available to you, but also to give you the education that I think every woman with chronic pain deserves, no matter what. So please let me know how I can support you, and I will talk to everyone soon. Thank you for coming.